Wisconsin, where people don't have the luxury of mail-in ballots like we do, that could very well happen again.
It really didn't feel like the right call with the trans situation.
And if you are still for some reason convinced that this whole coronavirus thing is being blown out of proportion, well, hopefully a doctor on the ground in New York can change your mind. Because if he can't, I honestly don't know what to tell you.
These patients are coming in at such an alarming rate, a staggering rate.
And the question on everybody's mind, if we're really flattening the curve, when can we open back up for business?
It's going to take a little bit, and that's probably an understatement.
Not yet, but we might have a date. Here's the story.
And I'm Dan Haggerty. Welcome to The Story. This is the show where we try really, really hard as we possibly can to make you feel like you are part of the show, part of the story. So we're listening. All you have to do is talk to us. Use the hashtag HeyDan on Twitter. You can send me an email, shoot me a DM, whatever it is that you like to do, send it my way. We do read absolutely everything. And I want to start tonight by talking about voting. Something not enough people do, frankly, but more Oregonians do than most, partly because we have mail-in ballots here. So does Washington and Colorado and Utah and Hawaii. Now, a state that does not do mail-in voting is Wisconsin, which is why we saw a lot of pictures like this today. People standing in lines, wearing face masks, in most cases standing a relatively, I'd say, safe distance apart, but still, they were out and about when they didn't have to be, when they should have been inside, because there was an election today in Wisconsin, and the Supreme Court ruled that the election would not be delayed, could not be delayed, and would happen the old-fashioned way, in person. The Democratic Party, they tried to delay the election until June, but the Republican Party pushed back. The Supreme Court sided with the Republicans, and they ruled that the election must take place today. And to try and make people feel a little better about going out and doing this voting, the Republican House Speaker of Wisconsin made this announcement.
You are incredibly safe to go out.
Just to recap, he said you are incredibly safe to be out while wearing full PPE, gown, gloves, and mask. I'm not sure if that makes me feel better or not. Anyway, long story short, Wisconsinites have to vote in person amid a pandemic because they don't do mail-in ballots like we do. But why is that? Now, we know why the president isn't a fan of mail-in ballots. He said so today. Listen.
Now, mail ballots, they cheat, okay? People cheat. Mail ballots are a very dangerous thing for this country because they're cheaters. They go and collect them. They're fraudulent in many cases. You got to vote. And they should have voter ID, by the way. You want to really do it right. You have voter ID.
Now, we should mention that President Trump actually voted by mail as recently as last month in Palm Beach County. Now, we wanted to take the president's concerns and address them head on. Is there really more fraud with mail-in ballots? Well, let's look at this Oregonian story from 2016. 10 Oregon voters plead guilty to voter fraud in the 2016 presidential election. But in the second paragraph of this article, it says more than 2 million votes were cast. So just under 0.05% of votes in that situation were fraudulent. And in 2018, the AP reported about a political action committee in Oregon delivering 100 ballots a day after the election, 100 out of nearly 1.9 million ballots. Look, every vote counts. I know that. That's not the point I'm making here. I will say the late Dennis Richardson, though, who is a Republican, and our last Secretary of State even said that voter fraud is extremely rare in Oregon. So the fact is, the numbers here don't really square with what President Trump was describing. In fact, I'm pretty sure that asking people to go out and vote during a pandemic will most likely keep people from voting. Probably. We'll have to wait and see what the numbers look like in Wisconsin. I'm also pretty sure that there will be people in Wisconsin who contract COVID-19 because they exercise their right to vote, the only way their government allowed them to. Now, maybe you're one of the people out there thinking that I'm being dramatic right now, that Wisconsin's going to be just fine. And if that's the case, I'd like to read you an email. I got this last week from a proud uncle. It said, "Hey, Dan, I'd like to call out my nephew, Luke Northern. He's a doctor with a wife and 3 kids. He volunteered yesterday to fly to New York City to work in an ICU with COVID-19 patients. This is his calling," he said. "His family is at peace with it despite the danger. This is what we'll all get through this together is all about." John in Tigard. Well, I called his nephew today and I talked to Dr. Luke between shifts at a Brooklyn area ICU. Now, look, I'll warn you, this is the scary stuff. All right, this is what every healthcare worker is afraid of. It's why we don't leave our homes anymore. Dr. Luke is an anesthesiologist. He helps put those people on ventilators. And here's what he says it's like for people getting sick in New York.
There's simply no place for them. There's an ICU at the hospital I'm at now with 12 beds. That's overrun. They made a second ICU with 16 beds, that's overrun. The ER is full of these patients with tubes in them. You hear overhead, code to room 301, code to room 212. There's a rapid response to room 111. There's an intubation needed in the ER. You hear this just almost continuously over and over. There are no visitors allowed. These people are dying alone. When I say alone, I mean away from their families. I haven't had this experience myself, but one of the ICU doctors I was working with was telling me the day before I came in that he was about to insert the breathing tube, about to intubate somebody, and he was holding the phone while this patient FaceTimed with their family, and the patient was saying goodbye to their family. This is real. People are dying. I'm seeing it out here, and even if you don't get that sick yourself, you could very easily infect someone and get them sick, and that could kill them. And it's a huge responsibility, and that's what you have to take upon yourself. You can't just say, oh, well, I won't get sick, I'll be okay. Well, you might give that to someone, and they might very well die.
Now, okay, I think you get the point, but I really want to make sure that you do. So I'll tell you that he also said when he arrived, they showed him the trucks outside where they have to put the bodies. Those bodies can't go to the funeral home because they still carry the virus.
You hear something like that, right? And I can tell you about it. And then you come here and you see a truck outside. And then the person who was showing me goes, oh, well, there's actually 2 trucks out there now. There was only one there last night. Now there's 2 trucks out there. And to actually see it, it's mind-blowing. I mean, I'm at a loss to describe the words of what that does to you, how that makes you feel.
This is Luke's family. They all live in Chicago. Luke said that he volunteered to go to New York because he remembered feeling helpless on 9/11, and he knew that he could help with this. But since he arrived, 2 nurses at the hospital in their 50s have gotten sick. One is on a ventilator, and the other may be soon. Now, he's expected to come home to his family by the end of the month, and I'm sure they're counting the days. In the meantime, the very least we can do is help out the brave people like Dr. Luke by staying inside as much as possible. That's really not that much to ask compared to what the people on the front lines are dealing with. All right, so hopefully understanding the stakes of the crisis makes this big story we're about to tell a little bit more understandable, and it's all about when Oregon's economy can kind of start back up again. I'll tell you right now, it's probably not as soon as you'd like. Right now, Governor Brown says that she wants to see no deaths for 10 to 14 days before starting to ease restrictions. But going back to normal, when will that be? Lindsay Nadrich talked to some economists who say it'll take a lot longer than that.
I know a lot of us hope the economy will recover quickly once the stay-home order is lifted and businesses reopen. But economists say it could take up to a year until we're back to where we were before this.
It's going to take a little bit, and that's probably an understatement.
John Taponia is the president of Echo Northwest. When I asked what the big picture looks like for Oregon as we're seeing this huge economic shutdown, he said to think of this in 3 chapters. The first is the shutdown period we're in right now, which could last until the end of May or mid-June. He says next will come a period of time called the reopening, where businesses will be back open, but people will still be unsure about what's safe and what's not.
You just think of any individual, let's say the restaurants opened on June 1st. I would be extremely surprised if people are going to rush back and resume all the activity that they were working on right before these, in late February, before all these orders came in.
Portland city economist Josh Harwood agrees, saying it's something we're already seeing happen elsewhere.
We've seen that in China. The factories are back open and the restaurants are open and no one wants to go outside because they're still scared.
So the return of the economy really hinges on how confident people are that the health crisis has been taken care of. John says we likely won't get to the 3rd chapter, which he calls true recovery, until June of 2021.
The whole thing that's going to make the economy work is if you and I have confidence that we can go back into the public, maybe go back into a restaurant, even a bar or a theater, and not be at high risk of getting the coronavirus.
John thinks Oregon is in better shape to recover, though, than other states because the stay-home orders went into place early on and seem to be helping flatten the curve. As for the city of Portland, It could lose anywhere from $40 million to $100 million or more in revenue because of the COVID-19 closures. The biggest hit is coming in the form of taxes lost from hotels and businesses.
Well, we're getting more information every day, but we're still kind of figuring out exactly what the other side of this looks like and when it'll happen.
Josh knows people want answers now, but says we've only been shut down for about 3 weeks, so they're still collecting data. He says we won't know the full extent of the financial impact on Portland for some time.
Okay, Lindsay Nadrich joining us now. So we got a pretty good look at the overall economy long term, but I think people are worried more about their own personal lives here. When are they going to get back to work? When are they going to start making ends meet again? When are we going to start seeing unemployment numbers go down? What are economists saying there?
Yeah, so the economist I spoke to pointed out, this is unprecedented. We've never had anything like this. We've basically put the economy in a coma. And before this, he said we were kind of at historic lows for unemployment rates. So unemployment rates were down at 4% or below. Now, suddenly it's up to 13% as millions of people apply for unemployment. And unfortunately, he said projections show it could take a year to recover. And in a year, he expected unemployment rates to be at about 9%. So still not what we were seeing before. And again, unfortunately, he said it could take a while.
So even under those terms, we're using the term recover there, we're still looking at pretty high unemployment. Not what people want to hear, but it's something we need to be realistic about moving forward. So thank you for that insight, Lindsay Nadrich. We appreciate the report.
All right, it's let's check the time. Rush hour looks about. Let's check in with our traffic reporter, Freeway Dan. Yeah, thanks. It's good. It's fine. It's all good. Thanks, Freeway. He's terrible at traffic. Why do we keep him? And that jacket was way too small. But obviously, there aren't a lot of people on the road right now, which is good, which means that people are actually staying home like they're supposed to. We want to show you some stats now we got from ODOT and PBOT. So usually in non-coronavirus times, the freeways get pretty packed in Portland, as you know. On an average day, 137,000 cars cross the Interstate Bridge and 165,000 cross the Glenn Jackson 205 bridge. Now we are seeing less than half of those numbers. And it also looks like people are staying away from the coast, which is good. Weekend traffic on Highway 20 is down 80%, so let's keep it that way. But despite there being fewer cars out there, police are actually giving out more speeding tickets. I get it. Less traffic, open road, let's see what this baby can do. But remember, police are essential, and they're still going to work.
One of the things that keeps baffling all of us in law enforcement is we stop several people where they tell us, oh, I didn't think you guys were out here. I didn't think you guys were enforcing these.
Speeding is still illegal. I shouldn't need to say that, but case in point, the same Washington County Sheriff's deputy pulled over 12 drivers on I-5 over the past 2 Saturdays. They were all going at least 80 miles per hour. One person was going 111 miles per hour. Same thing for Portland police, more speeders. Last week, 4 people were stopped going 100 miles over the speed limit. Not over 100 miles per hour, 100 more than the limit. That's too fast. I know I'm a dad and all, guys, but way too fast. Obviously, people are still getting pulled over there, so it's not like it's a free-for-all out there. Also, look, I'll just get graphic for a second, back to dad mode. Do you know what a high-speed crash does to your body, to your organs? We all know emergency rooms are worried about being overloaded right now. Let's think about that. So I know it might be tempting right now on the open road to floor it, but please just don't.
Scary, yeah. It is. I mean, it's the sobering reality.
A day in the life of a local coffee shop. The era of social distancing.
In the good times, every Saturday. In the bad times, more.
In between COVID-19 and Joe Exotic, it is a weird time to be a tiger. When the story continues.
Time to answer some viewer questions. All right, this person said, hey Dan, I thought I heard DMV was closed except for commercial vehicles. Is that true? What if I need to renew my license? If I can't get it renewed, will I be able to get into a pot shop? This is from NJ. So according to the OLCC, they told us you need a valid license to get into a pot shop. So if yours is expired, you would not be able to get inside. In that case, you can use a passport. Please keep sending in those questions using the hashtag HeyDan.
A comfy chair. No more heels, because I'm not standing next to anyone. There is no competing for space here in the ladies' room because the bathroom counters They're empty. Usually the KGW kitchen is jammed full of stuff. But the fridge, plenty of room for my lunch.
Another viewer question and another question about tigers. This person says, hey Dan, now that big cats at the zoo have contracted the coronavirus, are we going to have to worry about a whole new strain? And how will they treat these poor animals? Thank you, Sharon, for that question. So if you don't know, Nadia, a 4-year-old tiger at the Bronx Zoo, tested positive for COVID-19. Health officials say that this is the same virus, not a mutation. They believe that she got the coronavirus from a caretaker at the zoo who was asymptomatic. 6 other big cats at that zoo are believed to have coronavirus as well. Zoo officials said other than a cough and shortness of breath, all the animals are doing well, and they still believe that the risk to other pets is very low. Please keep sending in those questions using the hashtag HeyDan.
All right, thanks to Kristen. Hey, keep sending in those questions, tiger-related or otherwise. Again, use the hashtag HeyDan. That said, can we hang out and talk about tigers for just a minute? I mean, what is the deal with tigers right now? What's the deal with tigers? Sorry about that. I sure hope Big Tiger has good PR because, man, there's been some crazy tiger news out there. Between the New York tiger catching COVID-19, the Tiger King on Netflix. I mean, I had to set a Tiger Woods Google alert on my phone because who knows at this point? It's just crazy. Now, if you don't know about Tiger King, I really don't feel like I can explain everything to you without breaking a few FCC rules. Suffice it to say, a polygamist tiger keeper named Joe Exotic runs for president and then goes to jail in a murder for hire plot. Oh, and he's a country music singer.
Tell all the hunters to lay down their guns. Tell them that the tiger needs a little bit of love.
Okay. All right, I know. I'm losing you, but just bear with me for 1 second. I am going to make a point because there is a point, because believe it or not, there is a local connection to Tiger King, and it's the voice that you just heard singing. According to TMZ and various other sources, it belongs to a Vancouver-based country group called the Clinton Johnson Band. The band told TMZ that they responded to Joe's ad to make a theme song for his park, and then things just kind of evolved from there. Altogether, they did about 20 songs for Joe Exotic, and while he stars as a solo performer in all the music videos, they say he never really sang a word or maybe played an instrument in his whole life. They also say they haven't seen Tiger King yet, though I really think they should, because you guys sound great. So what is it that they say in Monty Python? And now for something completely different. Coffee and Portland, they go hand in hand. I don't need to tell you that, but look, maintaining safe social distance and supporting your local barista don't always go hand in hand. And in fact, that's probably not even the phrase I should be using. Our photojournalist Kurt Austin stopped by a local coffee shop just trying to get by right now, thanks to some really loyal customers.
This is our favorite neighborhood coffee shop.
I love Jet Set.
There you go, sir.
This is a great place.
The owners, they're just wonderful, and it's a really friendly place, isn't it?
They're all really friendly.
My name is Travis Knowles.
I'm Seth Knowles.
And we run
Jet Set Coffee.
Everybody's friendly. The guys are just fun to talk to.
It was his pitch, his idea.
The inspiration being Terminal 5 JFK International.
Jet Set Coffee?
And what's a nickname given to the Union News restaurant. Eero Saarinen's Terminal 5. That atomic coffee shop vibe. Each and every one of us in our daily routine are modern day jet setters in our own right.
Yeah, definitely. Trying to help them out and get our goodies too.
We cannot say thank you enough.
In the good times, every Saturday. In the bad times, more.
Scary, yeah.
It is. I mean, it's the sobering reality.
Yeah.
We're open an hour later now.
Yeah.
And we are closing 2 hours earlier.
Each day can be anywhere from 30 to 60% decline. And we have other small businesses that we're friends with who say they're seeing up to 85% decline.
People were so worried and so wanting us to, be okay. We actually had our biggest Saturday ever here that first week when all this happens.
Your turn, yeah. Yeah, we've been doing a little more takeout than usual.
Jet Set Coffee. We started Jet Set Coffee December 27th, 2014.
5-year mark, yeah.
They matter, and they are individual. and I get great service. They know me.
Who is the staff?
So we got Mom, Seth, and I, the owners, but our staff, Patrick.
He's our head barista and head mechanic.
Yeah, and then we have Stephanie. Then we got Caitlin, the newer blood. Yeah.
The kids have taken less money out of here just so they can keep their people on.
We aren't taking any pay right now for the next 3 months.
Yeah, I'm Seth and Travis's father. When the governor had mentioned, you know, that you have takeout and such, like drive-throughs and this type of thing, the boys we rallied and they just said, Dad, we're very fortunate with the customer base we have.
It's a good place.
The coffee's good.
We make a mean mocha, lattes, and then our made-in-house goods, which I think really makes us stand apart.
The Marion Berry Muffin.
And every Sunday at 10 a.m., cinnamon rolls.
Yay!
Cinnamon roll Sunday, as we call it.
It's been quite stressful.
From here on out, this is going to be a very different game, especially for food service.
I'm Devin. I am the wife of one of the owners to Jet Set Coffee.
We're all in this together.
Reminds us why we do this, that we're here to add flavor to the community.
Thanks so much, guys.
To be connected to that, to be part of that American dream of saying if you have something unique you feel you can offer, you can start a business and do that. And the fact that that is so valued by our neighbors and customers has really made us feel very good.
I will continue to support Jet Set.
This is sort of making people more human, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be bigger, better, and stronger.
It's not over till it's over. And they've done really well, extremely well.
You're all set.
Travis, thank you.
No, thank you.
All right, so when we come back, we're going to read some comments. I'm leafing through a few right now, and there's a bunch to talk about. We're going to finish this story, so pick up your phone, use the hashtag HeyDan, and reach out to me. We'll see you after the break.
Here is a very interesting viewer question. This person says, hey Dan, my hair salon is reopening and making appointments starting April 16th. Are they able to do that under Governor Brown's order? When can businesses start reopening? Okay, so under the existing executive order, grooming businesses, that means hair salons, should be closed. Governor Brown has said that she wants to wait to lift the order when we have 10 days of no deaths. Please keep sending in those questions using the hashtag HeyDan.
Oh my gosh, Drew, did you see that Joe Exotic doesn't even sing his own songs? Drew, are you there? Oh. And you can use the whole Big Wig conference room for your virtual workouts, sanitizing the whole time, of course. I can virtually park anywhere I want. Brenda, I found a really good recipe. Brenda? You can bring a salmon bowl to work and microwave it, and there is no one here to complain about it.
Did you just microwave fish? Gross!
Yes.
All right, we got a lot of comments about President Trump being in the newscast tonight because we used him to transition a story about voting in Wisconsin, where people have to go to the polls because of a Supreme Court decision to discuss voter fraud in our mail-in ballot system. His soundbite was used to get us into that voter fraud and what it's like here in Oregon. Everybody on both sides, you like him, you hate him, you're writing us about President Trump. The story was not about President Trump. The story is about people being safe and being able to vote at the same time, okay? Stop it. Anyway, I got another one from Cecily writing in, it's spring. How about shopping for some spring sport coats? This obsession with my sport coats, I can't even take them off. All right, thanks for being with us. The news at 6:30 is next, following some breaking news that we have out of Clark County. Meanwhile, we'll see